Yeah, when I was 15, my first job was carrying boxes of fish from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. And I would run to work. So I'd leave the house at 6. I'd run an hour. I'd get there at 7. I'd finish work at 5. And then I'd run from there to the fight gym. Get to the fight gym. I'd get there early before training started. I'd eat food next to the gym. And then I'd train. And then I would get a ride home from my girlfriend at the time. So my entire life was 17 hours a day of just running and working and carrying boxes and fighting. And I can't be more thankful. You know, I don't want to be arrogant, but I'm going to. I really do believe I've had the perfect life. Now, I don't know if that's actually because I have the perfect life or if I framed it that way, but I am so thankful for everything. I am so glad I got to grow up poor because I wouldn't appreciate money if I didn't. And I'm so glad I got to spend my 20s, that decade where you're as powerful as possible fighting. And I'm so glad I've had difficult jobs and no money. And I'm so glad I couldn't pay my bills so that I appreciate now all the money I have. And I'm so glad I had the parents I had. And I'm so glad all these bad things happened to me, but enough good things happened. And I just really feel like it's been the perfect path. And I think back on that job. I think back on how my life was back then. And I realized that I wouldn't appreciate any of the things I have now without them. There's absolutely no light without dark. The best thing about being rich is talking about how you used to be poor. Otherwise, it's no point being rich at all. You're not going to enjoy any of it. You're going to end up addicted to drugs and doing crazy stuff, right? Yep. The reason I'm so happy, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I'm happy every day, I'm pretty emotionally balanced, is because I wake up in a big ass house and I realize that I don't have to worry about rent the next day and everything's fine. So I think being rich is as good as I imagined it to be when I was poor. And I truly enjoy it, but I would have never appreciated the money if I didn't have the poor side. And I really think in many ways I've almost had the perfect life. I'm so glad. Even going to jail was fantastic. I'm so glad that these things happened to me. Now, I don't know, as a professional, when I analyze these things, I often sit and think, is that objectively true? Have I had the best life with all different sides of the spectrum, all the barriers of the parameter? Because there is no light without dark. To grow up around stabbings and to be stabbed myself and to grow up around drug dealers and to grow up in a terrible area and then to be rich and fly my Bugatti on A380s to different countries so I can flex. Like, is my life really the best life possible, or have I just framed it that way? I don't know. I'm sure there's people out there who perhaps had a better life than me.
You've reprogrammed your subconscious mind.
Well, maybe there's people who've had a better life than me, right? There's people who've had deeper darks and lighter lights, and they've had a wider spectrum of experiences, and perhaps they've had a better life, but they may not think that because maybe their mind is not programmed to see it that way. Perhaps what you should do as a man is to view your life the same way. Irregardless, you should sit and wake up and say, God has given me the best possible journey on this planet. Of the 8 billion people, mine is the best. I got to see this. This bad thing happened to me. That was fantastic. This terrible thing happened. That was an interesting time. This good thing happened. This girl loves me for some reason. My life's amazing. Perhaps you should view your life as the best possible life. Perhaps that's the best way to be competitive. I don't know if it needs to even be objectively true for it to be effective.
It's your story. It's your reality, right?
So it doesn't even have to be objectively true for it to be effective. However, in my scenario, I truly believe that I have lived the best life. And I truly believe the best years of my life have not happened yet. And they're going to come. And I truly believe that my story is going to be one of the best stories ever.
But bro, you've reprogrammed your mind. It couldn't have always been like that.
No, when you're younger, you lack experience. So you're not as...
You may have battled anxiety and all of that stuff growing up too. Because, I know what it feels like not to have any money.
Yeah. Oh, completely.
It's very, you feel that you're going to die the very next moment.
Absolutely. I've been poor, but I don't think I always knew the answer to everything is raw action.
Yeah.
The answer to everything has always been raw action. My dad had a tweet about this. He said that raw action solves all. And he used to say this. I'll give you an example. If you're a farmer and you need rain for your crop and there's no rain, you can sit there and say there's no rain, we're all going to starve. Or you can stand up and do a rain dance. Now, will your rain dance work? Perhaps not. Perhaps the rain won't come. But I would argue that you're better off standing up doing that rain dance than just sitting there waiting to die. You have to do something. Raw action solves. So when I was broke, I was never like, I'm poor, what do I do? It was, I'm poor, I have to do something. If I was broke, I'd go for a run. That's why I was such a great fighter. If I was broke, I'd sit there and go, I'm actually poor. How do I make money? Dunno. Where can I get some cash? Dunno. What work can I do? Dunno. I'll just go for a run then. And I'd just go for 3 mile run. And or go hit the punch bag
Bro,
and get better.
this resonates so deeply, man. This is exactly what I did.
That's exactly. You just have to say, well, I have to do something. I can't just sit still and die. A lot of people are happy to just sit still and die or jerk off and go to sleep and take a nap. Well, if that's what you want to do, then you can stay a loser. That's fine. I'm glad there are losers, because if everyone had Lamborghinis, my Lamborghini wouldn't be fun to show off. I need you to look at it and feel the deep pain in your heart of regret and failure. That's the whole point of it. I need to drive my Bugatti and everyone be looking at it going, I'll never have one of those. And I can get all their energy and feel it all, and it makes me happy. Fantastic. So you can sit at home and do nothing. But when I was poor, I had to go for a run. I couldn't sit still or lift weights or do something. I couldn't even sleep. So raw action solves everything. And I understood that at a young age. But as you get older, you get to look back and you get to put your whole story together, the whole tapestry together. I knew I wouldn't stay poor. Did I ever think I'd get this rich? Well, I never said I wouldn't, but did I ever think it would probably happen at this level? No. But it's amazing how the compounding interest of just endless raw action adds up. I've never had a lazy day. I've never skipped work, never missed an email, never had a day off, ever. You name if you were to go through the last 3 years of my life, you will see that there's never been a day where I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. And it all just adds up, and then monumental success comes and you get to laugh at everybody else. Ha ha ha. And life's great. But I really believe God's given me one of the best lives, and I can't complain about anything bad that's happened. It's all been fantastic. I'm truly thankful for all.
Do you practice gratitude every day?
But I don't have to practice it because I'm actually truly thankful for all the bad things that happened.
That's beautiful.
I truly am like, thank you, God, for that difficult time.
You created that belief before you had all of this stuff or after you began to receive all of this stuff?
I think if a couple bad things happen to you, you should be intelligent enough to realize that eventually you're going to get over it and you're going to learn an important lesson. It's going to change you in the correct direction. And Allah is the best of planners, and He knows what you need to learn. I think that as humans, especially as men, we only learn the hard way anyway. There's two ways to learn a lesson, the hard way and the hardest way. There's no easy way to learn a lesson. You have to learn the hard way. So God gives us lessons via difficulty. He thinks you need to learn this about yourself or this about other people. So I'm going to give you a difficult time so you can learn your lesson. Because if I told you, if I just said, hey, Andrew, this is how the world works, you go, yeah. But when I show you, when you feel it, my fight coach used to say, you have to feel it to believe it. That's why if he was teaching low kicks, he'd kick your leg off. Because you don't believe in the power of a low kick. You don't believe a low kick can be so devastating unless you've felt it. You have to feel it to believe it. So God will give you a difficult time so you learn your lessons. And the lessons are very important for you to be the person who you need to be in this life. He's the best of planners. And I'm thankful for all the lessons He's given me. He's bestowed knowledge upon me. How could I not be grateful to God for making me so intelligent and wise and the ability to look into things so deeply and come up to the right decision and basically predict the future perfectly? How did I know they were all going to arrest me? How did I know how the world works? You have to have difficulty happening to you all the time. So when you sit and say, I want an easy life, what you're saying is you're a dummy and you want to be a dummy. You want to stay a dummy. I want an easy life. And I don't want anything bad to happen to me because even though it will teach me lessons, I can't handle the emotional pain. I can't handle the stress. So you want to stay a dumbass. I don't want to be a dummy. I want to be smart. If I want to be smart, then hurt me.
It's almost second nature to me. It's not a conscious thing. If I'm awake, I don't see why I wouldn't be doing something constructive. I'm conscious now. I've woken up. I'm either in the gym or I'm working. What else am I going to do besides turn my brain off in front of Netflix? It's just all clown world to me. If I'm awake, it's work. Or training. And that's how I've always lived. And that's just how I'm going to live as long as I can. If I get to a point where I feel need to slow down, then. Well, it's interesting about watching content because watching content can be a double-edged sword. You can learn a bunch of things, and everyone at home here, I like to feel like they're getting value and they're learning things. But there's also the other edge of people who feel like if they just watch a bunch and do nothing, that they're taking action. They feel better about themselves, but they're not actually taking action. You know, so you have to balance the two carefully. Ultimately, it's going to be action that shapes your world. Ultimately, you're going to have to do something. So if you're watching something, you should be very conscious of what it is. I mean, I've created my reality. Absolutely. I've cut out all bull. I don't have TikTok installed on my phone band. So I don't have anything installed on my phone, random entertainment. I don't watch any podcasts of anyone else. Like nothing. I don't need to. But I get a daily report at the end of each day and spend 4 minutes analyzing. I get what I needed in 4 minutes to read the piece of paper. Boom, done. Very, very efficient with it. But yeah, you have to be careful if you just watch too much content. Like you guys have a website, right? And you teach things. I have a website. I teach things, whatever. If you watch this podcast and you've genuinely learned things from it, then you should be on one of the 2 websites by the time the conversation ends. If you're going to watch the podcast and go, yeah, they're all pretty smart. Anyway, then you've wasted your time. It's action that shapes the world. So if you're going to watch something, it needs to either tell you what to do or inspire you to take action. If you're not going to take action, you're going to fail. That's the reality. My problem with reading is not that there's not good information there. It feels slow.
I'm with him.
It feels slow. I just feel like I don't have
read a bit faster.
Yeah, perhaps. I don't have the hours. I'm now at the point where I will hand the book to my PA and say, give me a 2-minute surmise. You read it. For me, that's just where I am. But also, life teaches you a lot. And I think a lot of people are not very self-reflective of their own lives. I don't think you can read a book and that's great. But I think if you're living an interesting life, if you were to take half an hour a day to actually sit and go, okay, what good has happened to me today? And what bad has happened to me today? Why have those things happened? And how can I prevent them from happening again? Most people don't, that kind of crap doesn't even cross their minds. Like every day I will sit at the end of the day and go, what bad has happened to me today? How did that happen? Did I get caught slipping was I on the street and some guys come up to me and it could have been a dangerous situation? Like, how could I genuinely have improved my reality? And you can self-reflect and teach yourself everything. You have to have ownership of everything good that's ever happened to you and everything bad that's ever happened to you. I have complete ownership for the fact I was canceled. I don't sit there and go, oh, they're lying about me. Yes, they're lying, but I still own it completely. They're lying about me and they're talking, but I own it and I took responsibility for it and I sat there and I took absolute accountability and I thought, okay, how can I turn this in my favor? And I beat them. If I'm walking down the street and it starts to rain, I take responsibility for that. I didn't have to be in rainy London. I could have been somewhere else. I could have brought an umbrella. Could have took a car. I am responsible for getting wet in the rain. And there's people out here who just don't take any responsibility for their own actions, let alone the weather. If you take complete self-accountability and you self-reflect, you can learn a whole bunch about. No, but that's what losers do. It's raining. I'm unlucky. No, but that's what they'll say. I got wet because it rained, not my fault. Whereas I'll say I got wet because I did not prepare for the rain. And I will punish myself for that. And I'll make sure it doesn't happen to me again. I will sit and actually consciously think about it. There's been times I've lost my car keys or something ridiculous and wasted 20 minutes of my life. And I'm furious. And I will make sure that never happens again. So I don't make mistakes ever. That's it. If you don't sit and pay conscious attention to it and give it conscious effort, you're not going to learn. There's still a sense of satisfaction knowing you were forward thinking enough to try your absolute best. Like I have people who are after me, right? If they catch me and I feel I had a 7-man security team and an armored car and I did my best. Like
took the precautions.
Yeah, but if I'm just walking around like a dummy and then they get me, then it's a different scenario, right? So it is what it is. You have to self-reflect. And I think that, reading's great, but if you take some time to look, I get this all the time. People say, oh, my girl left me. Why? Oh, no, she just left. What do you mean you don't? Why did she leave you? Oh, because she wanted If you think long enough, you'll realize it's because of you. You were not important enough to make her not want to leave. You can sit and say what she did and what she wanted, blah, blah. It's because you couldn't keep her because I could have kept her. So you couldn't. So it's your fault and you're not self-reflecting. And then you're going to go into your next relationship. And because you didn't self-reflect and you haven't grown, you haven't done anything, guess what's going to happen? She's going to leave you again. Now we're in a globalized world and a lot of the products and services and things you can offer can be offered to absolutely everybody. So inside of don't want to do a plug, but I will. But inside of our university, we teach a bunch of things. We have 18 modern wealth creation methods, but they're all based on online. I think online, it's not groundbreaking to say the internet's here to stay and it's the future. And I think that whatever business you're in, you need an online presence to it. And then you have to find a way to attract attention. And the best way to do that is to come across as knowledgeable and interesting. I think that's the best way to do it. Yeah. If you're a CEO, technically you're free, but if you're too free, your business fails. So everyone's to a degree his own. But you've just said something that intrigued me. Let's try and think of a business that's not an online business. What's not an online business?
Laying bricks.
Laying bricks, building.
Cutting hair.
Oh, cutting hair. Yeah, so cutting hair is not an online business. Yes, so let's say you're a hairdresser, right? You're a hairdresser and you cut hair. Then you have to define what an online business is, because if you start attracting attention online, I guess you could say it's an online business, but let's try and think about something that's purely online. You're going to have to find a problem to solve. So if you're a hairdresser, you can either solve the problem of teaching people how to cut their own hair, which most people are probably not going to be that interested in, or something that goes wrong with hair. So you can say, I'm a hairdresser. I've been a hairdresser for a long time. I've identified men that have male balding patterns that go wrong, or women whose hair is damaged by dye and that can go wrong, etc. I've been a hairdresser for ages. Here's my Instagram page of all the hairs I've cut, and here's the way I can help you. You can start a YouTube channel that shows you can come up with some healthcare, some hair thing. You could literally get some cream from X place and add in some avocado oil, some garbage, say it helps people and say it helps their hair. You've been around for a long time and you can establish credibility. You establish credibility based on the fact that you cut hair, you've been around for ages and you know exactly what you're talking about. You have this cream, you have this product now that has helped X amount of customers. You can give it to your customers and they can start to give you reviews and say, yeah, it works fantastically. You can sell it by your Instagram page for $7 a bottle and bam. Anything can be done. Credibility and you gain attention, you'll make money. So I'll give you another example. I had a friend who was a personal trainer. He used to go to the gym every day and used to train people. He didn't make that much money. People would miss appointments. It was like £50 an hour. He'd get there, get back. Blah, blah, blah. I said, listen, brother, you used to, he didn't at the time, look fantastic. How about you spend the next 6 months getting absolute killer shape? Then put up a bunch of pictures on Instagram of you in killer shape and then put together your workout plans and tell people they'll look like you even though they never will. And sell that for $7 or 10 pounds or 15 pounds and sell it by your Instagram. And he went from making $2,500 a month or $2,000 a month as a personal trainer to $15,000 a month without ever going in the gym. He only went to the gym for himself because he was selling information. So a way which is becoming more difficult. Like in the fitness industry, it can be done purely on how you look and get some credibility and attention. But especially in the business world now, you have to be very knowledgeable. You have to be because that's the way things go when they get competitive, which is fine. But this all goes back and ties into what we were saying earlier on. If you're not trying your best and working hard and paying attention, then you're going to get wrecked. Another thing I will say to people at home, and I've said this before, every single time I ever spend money, I pay attention to why I spent money. And that gives you a lot of information and a lot of knowledge when it comes to sales and marketing. If I go and I buy some clothes, I am conscious about why did I choose this store instead of that store or that store? Well, is it the branding? Do I know them? Am I familiar with them? Is it because there was no line? Is it because they had a brighter sign? What was it? Oh, there's a line there. There's no line here. So in my physical businesses, which I have in Romania, I have this thing with the staff. I said, there can never be a line faster. Like I don't want, but it's just 3 people. No, there are people walking past who won't walk in because there's a line because that's what I do. No line, but you don't want to look empty. No. So no line until the last customer. So there's one person.
Yes.
Like you have to manage these things. Most people don't micromanage this stuff. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. No. You have to pay attention to seeing people who are doing things and if they work and how they work. And you're completely and utterly correct. And you should do that all the time. Every time you spend money, you should work out how they convinced you to spend money. Like I have a few physical companies. I have a few physical businesses and it can be a simple matter of, depending on in the business districts where there's men in suits, I have a pretty girl who's a waitress and she works there. The difference that will make to a bottom line is the dude going and flirting with this chick every lunchtime. You'd be amazed. But people don't think about these things. But even if you don't have a business, if you pay enough attention to these kind of things, you'll get business ideas. So I'm now at a point where, and my attitude to money, I want to make something clear, is relatively unhealthy. I have no respect for money. There are people who are much smarter with money than me. I don't have any respect for money at all. I don't believe in saving money. And I think a lot of that is down to I'm not advocating people to be like this. It's my life philosophy and the fact that I don't live in any realm of fear at all. I can't imagine myself not being able to make more. I can't ever be poor. And if I wanted something now that took every penny of my net worth, then I would buy it because I want it. I don't care. I don't think, God, I have a safety net. I don't give about money that way. I have a safety net by accident because I haven't spent all my money, but I have never sat and thought I want something and that's too much. I'll give you an example. I have an 812 Superfast, a Ferrari. I love it very much. They've released
very nice.
Yep. They've released the 812 Superfast Competition. They've released the competition version. Instead of $400,000, it's 1.6 million, which is a big difference for a bit of a body kit. And I want one in Europe and I want one in Dubai. So I bought 2. So I bought $3.2 million of Ferraris. Should I have done that? Well, yeah, I can. But my point is I'm happy to just spend money. But that's down to my faith in myself. So when you're asking how much of my income is disposable, in my mind, all of it. I have a lot of money left because I can't possibly spend it, but I'm happy to spend all my money. What really matters are the systems you build, the robust systems. If you have a robust system that's guaranteed to pay you $50,000 a day and it always will, and you have faith in it and you're working hard and you're on top of it and it's going to pay you at 9 a.m. every morning $50,000, you could spend $50,000 a day if you wanted to. You may not want to, but you could. So for me, all of my money is disposable.